Hi guys, thank you for joining me. Welcome back to the Magic Hour. The rain has let up, the sun is out, and it's been really hot, hasn't it?
Hi,
Hi, how are you?
I've got my light ready. I'm very happy. This is my light that's ready now. What's
You know
up?
what? But even I tried one of these lights and I find them too harsh. I'm very happy with the natural light of the Magic Hour.
So that's why we caught 5 o'clock now. I was wondering why we weren't doing later. Then I realized you don't want to do it in light. But I still like this light.
I love daylight. If I had my way, I would go down to the garden and do this in the open air. So tell me, what have you been up to in the lockdown?
I'll be doing a
Enjoying
podcast
the
which features
babies?
you also.
Huh?
Yeah, of course. We're doing a podcast which features you also.
Yes. Thank you so much. How's that doing?
It's doing well actually. But the lockdown's been all about trying to come to terms with not being able to go out, not being able to work 24 hours a day, and unfortunately, that itself has a lot of anxiety issues. Yeah, a lot of things have changed for us. I mean, for you, it's changed wonderfully well. I must tell all those who joined in, for them, their lives, Mona Shetty and Sound Vision Studios is killing it. But for the rest of us,
Not
who
exactly, but we are trying, yes.
but for those who don't just have an audio world, it has been a little tight. No shootings, or not, those kind of things. So it's nice to say you can sit at home with the family, but
Yeah.
if you're the
How
bread
long?
earner for the family, you start to wonder. Yeah. You start to wonder how long can and what's happened is it's September. I don't see things becoming okay for another 6 months. Easy.
Oh,
So
really?
yeah.
Yeah.
Because the
I
actors
mean,
don't want
yes,
to come
the
and
fear
meet
is
you. Yeah.
definitely going to be there. So, and the numbers have shot up again. Bombay was at 600, 700 at one point per day. Now we've gone up to 2000 again. So,
But it's not the numbers. It's the point that our industry does not function if films don't release. So if films release, you have events, then you have promotions, you have things. If films don't release, we don't have a Bollywood industry, and that's never going to happen. So all the ancillary industries, radio, TV, hosting, all that's only going to happen if films release. So if films don't release, we're in a lot of trouble, and I don't see them releasing because there's
but
no
you
cinemas.
don't think that OTT is helping in this situation?
No, not at all. You see, I mean, if you ask anybody how many films they watch that are released online, they won't even be able to name it. They won't even know the films that are released because they can't still differentiate between the shows and the films. And secondly, they'll never be able to, how should I say, you'll never watch a full film. Sometimes you'll watch a little bit and you let it be. And it's not like the films have been very great. Gulabo Sitabo was not such a great film. Sadak 2 was disaster. Even Gunjan Saxena, which
I seriously enjoyed Loot Case.
yeah, so but the problem with Loot Case
So
was that
much
not
fun.
everybody watched
And I
it. But
quite
not
liked
everybody watched
Gunjan also. Gunjan Saxena I liked.
it. It was okay, but it's not somebody who see now they're trying something. There's a new platform that is trying pay-per-view. So you have to pay for Kali Pili. That's when we'll really realize what the numbers are.
Right.
People have once they have to pay. So imagine if
Yeah.
the film actually has like 1,000 people only that have watched it. The collection will be 1 lakh rupees. So now they're in
That will
dangerous
be harsh.
territory.
That will be super harsh. Harsh
Ah,
reality.
yeah.
But so tell me, I mean, let's go back a bit and talk about your journey. You grew up in Delhi, right?
Yeah. I did
In Delhi.
school.
So what brought you to Bombay?
So I was a typical how should I say this? I was a very outgoing student, and in Mount St. Mary's, the school that we were there,
Going from class?
always. I never stayed in class, but not being punished. Not only being punished because I loved sport and extracurricular.
Oh,
So
that
now
was
what
me
happens?
too. I
Yeah,
had to
yeah.
find every excuse to be out of class. Yeah, I wanted to be monitor. I wanted to be house
Yeah.
captain. I wanted to be singing captain, debate captain, throw ball captain, this captain, that, just so that I could do all the extra
Yeah,
work
so
and managerial work.
That's the fun that used to happen in. So my school, along with Columbus, Columbus was famous for being Shah Rukh Khan's school, and our school also was very famous. So KK was part of our school. It was very well known across India for providing people the opportunity to study and do that. It was the army school, so discipline was very good. So obviously, a lot of the batches that we had were majority were decent students. You know, I was a very above average student. I was a good student. So as a result of that, I ended up doing very well in school and then doing economics honors. And then I was going to go to London School of Economics. But then my parents said, yeah, so I did really well in college in Venki, in Delhi University. But the money was like impossible to go to London and live there and all. So it's a very practical decision. They said, look.
And they don't have the kind of financial aid that the US has.
No. No, and even if you took the loan, I mean, I found out from some people to take a student loan, you spend 5 years of your life paying off the loan, and so it didn't make sense. Indian Business School had just started that time, and they wanted WorkX. And so I gave a few MBA exams, and I got through 3 MBA institutes also. But the issue was, I didn't want to study. I was bored of doing economics honors and all that. And then one of the days, so like in Bombay, let me tell you, like McDonald's is famous now. In Delhi, there was Nirula's. Nirula's was very famous. So that time there was Paran and Roshan Abbas in Delhi. So Roshan Abbas used to have his live wire radio that he used to chalao. It was very, very famous. And of course, then that time he hadn't started in Compass or anything. This is back in 2000, 2001. And Paran was a very famous RJ. So we used to do a lot of theatre there. So I was with Barry John. We used to all be part of the same group. Vivek Mansukhani, Sita Raina, Barry John, which used to do English, French, sex comedies and these kind of things. So we were slightly different. George Feydeau plays and all that. So I did not do the Indian Yatrik and NSD kind of theatre. We did the pop culture. Sham ko 6 o'clock, So we did that. So we got calls initially for this radio thing that was starting. That is, private FM radio was being launched in India. So it did not exist in India. Times was launching Radio Mirchi. And so my friend had gone there, Shiv Pandit, who you know, that actor Shiv Pandit, so he was a friend of mine, a strange connection we had. He was dating my ex-girlfriend, but that's how we met.
Strange connection had to be something like that.
But it's okay. I'm like a forgiving soul. So when we went over there, he said, brother, I've got to go do this for half an hour. Just come now. So we were going from there for I forget what activity we were going for. So when I went there, I was waiting outside. So you know how those guys, there must have been not enough people inside. So they said, why don't you also come and give it a shot? So I remember there was the head honchos of Radio Mirchi that time and Times Group that was sitting there. I, as usual, was in my shorts. So I walked in there and I had a lot of these serious people in there. I said, I didn't know what to do. So they gave 5 words. And I still remember those 4 or 5 words. One was Grand Prix. And in Delhi, they wanted to see, even though it was for a Hindi station, they wanted to know how you pronounce Grand Prix, Duple, all these kind of words. So of course, out of the 1,000 people that came in there, some 20, 30 did it. Then they heard my voice and they stopped then and there. They said, so are you looking to, get into this line? Because, you've written theatre. I said, no, there's no money. I straight away said there's no money. I said, I've just come with my friend. And I remember
Economics
the HR...
grad, after all, knows that at least.
Obviously. And Prasad Swaminathan, imagine, in those days also, the HR head was sitting there because they were looking to set up private FM radio. So he immediately came out, Prasad, and he asked me, he says, listen, I'm very serious. What do you think about this? I said, I don't have a clue. I'm not from this world, so I wouldn't have a clue. They really fast-tracked 4 of us. In 10 days, we met Mr. Parigi, who was the BCCL head. And I didn't even know what was Bennett and Coleman. We obviously living in Delhi, you don't have a clue and you don't really care. It didn't matter to our world. And he came in there and, I still wore my shorts and my Paharganj kurta. And I remember going for that meeting. And Mr. Parigi said, why are you dressed like this? I said, well, you wanted the real Salil and this is how I am. And I don't wear pants and all this and roam around. This is how I'm going to be. And this was the managing director of this. He stood up in this chair and said, this is what I want. This is Mirchi. This is Mirchi. He is Mirchi. He stood up there and he said, will you come to Bombay? No, he said, come to Bombay right now. I said, Bombay? I said, never seen Bombay. What is Bombay? I mean, never been there. He said, in a week, I will put you on a plane to Bombay. You stay for 5 days there. You see what Bombay is like. If you like it, then you stay and you become part of the company. I said, but we have not even discussed. He said, no, you go. So they sent me for, now I didn't stay 5 days, I stayed 2 days. I came to Bombay. They gave me a car. I went to see Nariman Point. So the Times of India guest house was in Churchgate. So I saw the Churchgate area. I saw Marine Drive and I said, wow, this is nice. I came back to, I didn't know. I came back to Delhi. And then I asked my friend Sapna. So she was doing Win 94.3. And Malishka was there. So I said, how do we negotiate? I don't know what to ask. So she said, I said, who's the biggest jock right now? She said that all the others are English. But there's one jock who speaks English, Marathi and Hindi. That's Malishka. So she's charging this much money. So I said, okay, I'll charge the same. They said, no, you can't charge that. So she's come there. But I said, why not? So I asked Mr. Parigi for 35,000 in 2002. And he said, but why are you asking for so much of money? I said, and this is what I said. I said, for my gym, for going out, I'm not going to live in a depressed place. Yeah, I told him. He said, but I said, you're bringing me from Delhi to Bombay. So I should have fun also. He loved my answer and they said, okay. And then, before I know it, 15 days, I suddenly have to wrap up my life and I landed up in Nariman Point.
Wow.
And that's how I came to Bombay, yeah.
So 20 years you've been doing radio?
Yeah. So I was actually India's first private FM jock. So they launched Radio Mirchi, who went Hindi. So Brian and Erica were doing the morning show, but that was Times ke jo log the, before it became private FM. So they launched Radio City, I think 3 or 4 months before they launched Radio Mirchi, but that was also English. So Jituraj and Rahat Jafri used to do the afternoon show. Archana, then also I knew her, used to do this college show, Bindas Bol. So they wanted a prime time jock to come and start bumper to bumper. And I started 5 to 9. So that was when Radio Mirchi went from English to Hindi. So the first show they went Hindi was evening show. And I had no clue what to do. I had a co-jock, Sandhya, who was pregnant. And the last 3 months she was on her way out. And she was allowed to eat inside the studio. So I used to love her. Because I also used to eat with her in the studio. So that was all I had no clue what I was doing, why I was there. And you know, initially in radio, one day somebody comes and tells you, what a show. 4 days later, it's just not working. The feel is not there. I said, but this is what I did 4 days back.
That's what I wanted to know. That, you know, did they train you? How did you learn?
No. I was the only person who wasn't trained and put on a primetime show in the history of radio. They just put me out there. I said, what do you want me to do? So,
because, you know, around the same time when all these radio stations were coming up, I was also approached to be a radio jock, and I was very excited at the thought of it.
Yeah.
But the fact that I had been on advertising voiceover for so long, the money seemed like nothing, first of all.
Of course, it's nothing,
And 8 hours job. I said, naukri karoge itna time ke
Plus, you can't freelance. That was another thing, because we all had to be employees.
So I got cold feet basically. I said, you know, ek to naya kuch seekho. Upar se no money. Upar se you're tied down completely. So I kind of just got cold feet, but I was very keen on it because I thought that was going to be me, you know, as opposed to me being someone else's voice. It was your identity that you could use there, you know.
Yeah. But you still can.
That is the big attraction of being a radio jockey, is that, you know, your personality is what sells, and your personality is what people take to, whether they like, dislike and all that. That is different for different people. There's no...
No, but in the beginning, you know...
How did you develop this whole rapport with your audience? How did you learn things? I'm assuming you learned a lot of things on the job with every feedback that you were getting.
The problem was that at that time when radio started, so because it was a Times network, so we weren't allowed to make fun of any artists. You know, that time, it was very cut. You know, you have to be nice and say things. And also, you weren't allowed to just directly pick. Yeah, very much so. So there was no question of being very negative. So it was literally how we were trying to... So the first year or two of radio was absolute confusion. It was really confusing for everybody because nobody really knew what they had to do, you know, and plus it was Hindi and it was being run by people with English. So they had no, I mean, Tapas was still the head then, and he's still now. He's a Bengali who can't speak a word of Hindi. Now he can now, but very senior person with. But imagine you're being told everything in English. Everything is English. Rani Mukherjee comes live on radio and says, "I can't speak Hindi. I can't speak live on Hindi." And I remember I had Vivek Oberoi and all come in the first 2 weeks, and they all insisted on speaking English live. They said, "We'll not go live in Hindi." I said, "Then why am I in a Hindi radio station? I don't understand only." So the first 10 months was actually spent totally lost. And around me, everybody kept changing. So around that time, we tried to figure out how. So my show initially used to be 4 hours, but each hour was a separate hour. So they used to sell it as one. That's how radio was initially in 2002.
Concept.
Yeah,
a different concept for each hour.
They tried that, but it really was stupid because it was the same person. So initially what had happened was when before Private FM, different people used to come, do their snippets and they used to go. So then they, I guess, understood the silliness of it and they created a 4-hour show then, which called it one. Earlier it was called Evening Drive, Bumper to Bumper, or something else. And I was like, what's going on? So they streamlined it.
I used to love listening to Mishal Verma and Mohan Kapoor in those days. I used to love, they used to crack me up totally.
But you know, it was very difficult.
Radio was Shanaz Dinshaw. Shanaz Dinshaw was doing morning radio.
But that was before 2002. By 2003, October is when I started. By 2003, everyone had shifted to Hindi. So you know, you actually had a really tough time. Yeah, and so Erica and Brian were replaced. They tried to get Hindi speaking journalists.
Erica.
Yeah,
yes.
She's still. So that's why she came back later. But Jaggu Tarana used to have a good show at that time. They were doing a very good job there. So they were there. But they were the only English speaking.
Yes.
But then again, nobody really knew what to do.
I think that was for Radio Midday, right?
Yeah, Midday, correct. So Malini used to be there. Malini used to do the evening show. And in my time, Geeta Modgill was there. So all of us weren't essentially the kind of people. So Jituraj was hardcore radio. So, you know, because he used to come after me, and
he
I used to spend so much.
He was really bearing the flag for the Hindi.
Oh, he was something. You know, I'll tell you, we used to come to office and he used to call himself M. Jom. He doesn't call himself Jituraj, yeah. So he'll cover his face and he used to have these incense sticks on his desk and bhajan playing loudly. And I said, where have I come? And that dhua is there and you're sitting in an office and wondering what the hell is going on. So I really enjoyed his style, and a lot of people used to say that I was a more refined version of him because I found him damn funny. Everybody else was really boring, so I used to find him damn funny. He used to stand, and I was one of the few jocks that even today, now I don't need to, but who used to stand and do a radio show. Everybody else used to be sitting down.
You have to get the energy.
I was so bored of sitting down. I was like, there's no fun. So everyone used to say, what is he doing? Why is he standing? He's moving around. I was animated, like how we do voiceovers. So I did that initially. So
I get very agitated when people want to sit and dub, and I don't know sometimes how to tell them, especially if they're senior people. If they're juniors, I tell them, please don't sit. You know, there'll be no energy. It'll be lifeless. But if they're senior people, it's a bit hard, you know.
But you know, it was like a viewing booth. Have you been to a zoo? So Radio Mirchi's studio was a zoo. There's be a big window. As soon as you entered the office, people would line up outside to see what this fellow is doing. And it was so weird. You're going like, listen, I'm trying to do a real show here. And everyone's looking, commenting, "Arey wow, what acha hai, very nice." It was hilarious. So those are the initial days of radio where everyone was just doing what they wanted. Yeah.
So tell me, what were the initial learnings? And how did you go about training yourself? I'm really keen for our listeners to know that.
The real training happened in 2000. So, like I said, when I came back to radio in 2009, in that gap in between is when I think the actual training happened. You know, people, I always say radio before 2007 and after 2007. So 2007 is when they moved the Jituraj. 7 years break. Yeah, I went only into acting from 2004 to 2009-10. I was only acting, no radio. I was only doing voiceovers at that time.
That's around the time when we met, right? That's around the time we met.
Yeah, that's when we met. So
That's
what
around.
happened at that point of time was Malishka was doing became the morning job for Red FM. Jituraj became the morning job for for Radio Mirchi, and they had a very different style of doing radio. Till then, what I always tell people is radio is fine if you want to write things down. But it was very rote learning. People used to read and they used to read it out. देखिए मैं आपको आज बताऊंगा कि क्या होने वाला है. That's not how you do radio. A lot of people still do it like that, where they read out and there's no connection. When I came back into radio, and because I'd been hosting so much by then, I said I don't want to do anything that people think is radio. I said there is no way of doing radio. There is no right or wrong way of doing radio. There's no right or wrong voice of radio. There are different time slots. So if you feel like politics and sport and cricket and all these things are your cup of tea, then you make your show around that. But you can't do that at 10 o'clock in the night. So Gaurav does a show which is music oriented. So it's like the days of, you split it up in like 12 hours. That's what radio is. It's like along with the mood. So I think that's when I got back in, and I sort of devised a way of not using scripts. Like I literally today, if I go on air today, I would actually talk about the thunder last night, or how my daughter has kept me awake all day. And that's another thing. So we changed when we came back in. So we were the first to get film reviews, by the way, on radio. I got Taran Adarsh. I said, everyone watches cinema. Why can't we review cinema? So everyone was very scared. What if they give 1 star, 2 stars? I said, well, that's what the public wants. So I think we changed radio in 2009 to make it real. I was the first RJ to say that I'm married. Nobody ever said that, because they said, oh, your listeners. We had a muh dikhai for my wife, where my listeners, 500 people showed up and she did a video chat with them. Nobody ever did that. I was the first person to announce that I have a baby. People don't even talk about that because they always wanted to appear like I'm your cool, always available kind of person. You know how Bollywood used to be earlier? So when I came back to radio, my biggest advice is, keep it real. You cannot fake it forever. So there are certain jocks that will say, "Main Ganga Tat mein paida hua." Their narrative is that, but they have maintained it for 20 years. I don't want to take the names, but he'll say this. I can't do that. So if you are real, how will you ever do a radio show? And otherwise, radio, people think is about contests and call-ins. Yes, it is. But if you don't bring your own personality, it's never going to work.
That's true.
Mantra was a great job.
Exploring with a lot of things to figure out what works for you.
Yeah. So my only thing was when I came back, I'm another person who you know very well also, and I know very well. Mantra was a brilliant job. Brilliant radio jockey. Now, what he used to do right was, he realized that a character is what he wants to play. So he doesn't play himself. He played a character. His writing skills were always brilliant. So he used to write great things, great chutkilas. He used to write songs. So if you have that talent, then it's great. So you play with that talent and then you play a persona on radio. So that is one style. I played the other style. There's no persona. It's me. You want to stay with me? This is how I am. And we won that battle for many years. We actually redefined how natural radio was for many years, until actually Big FM changed it and said we want to go to retro in the morning because we can't beat Salil Archana's Kasakai Mumbai. For 4 years, we were the #1 ranked show on RAM, and we didn't have T-Series. So Big FM actually changed the time slot from 7 to 12. They said because we don't want to fight 7 to 11 with them. So I remember once Prashant Pandey at FICCI and Tarun Katyal actually mentioned this. They said they made radio real. Everybody before that was a caricature or a character that they were playing. So I think that very, very important, which is how when we say you export. So I love food, So we started doing, and people told me it'll never work. I said, it can be aspirational, or I used to give 300 rupees also. And I said, I'm having fun. So then we did Spoon or Kaante. So we used to give these Spoon or Kaante awards for food. People loved it. They'd never given food reviews earlier. And I said, why can't you do all this? Then we got astrology on radio. So in 2010, I said, let's have a Kundli. People loved it. I said, if people watch it on TV, why can't they watch it in radio? So we got all these elements in which they hadn't experimented with earlier.
Okay. So you kept yourself also excited and interested, and you kept your audience
Of course.
also hooked in that sense.
Yeah. I see. Imagine you had so many people
Yeah.
coming in and
And
saying,
how important is it? Sorry, you were saying.
no, go. There's a lag. Yeah.
Yeah. So, how important is it? Would you say? I mean, the big difference between doing a show solo versus doing it with a partner.
You know, solo show is very difficult to do. I would say, yeah, very difficult. If you don't have enough interests. But if you have enough interests, it's
Like,
so
I really
easy.
admire Rishi, the way he works his solo shows. He just does such a good job of the way
Yeah, so
he's researched his subject and his
Yeah.
issues.
So his show again is like that, you know. So where he likes reading up on people. It's an informed show. It's for the English audience. So that's very important. You have to understand your audience. A double jock show, there have only been 3 or 4 in the last 20 years in radio that have actually worked. And it's very difficult to get that right. So even Jaggu Tarana was 70% of the show. But Jaggu played his 30% part very well. He didn't try. It can never be 50-50. So if you try to be 50-50, it will never work. So even in Archana and me, if I was the mind and the numbers and all that, she was the soul and the theology and God and religion. And so that chemistry worked. And she was okay with me being the lead because she understood that this guy wants to take the reins. I will follow the lead. If there's a question of like this clashing, it's over. Very tough to make double job shows.
But did you have to prepare for each show, both of you?
You know, it's very strange. In the first 7-8 months, that's it. Just so that, you know, the jokes could be matched, the bearings could be matched. After that, in a year or two, even now, I don't use scripts. We just went on. We used to make mistakes also on air. So there again, we were the first that didn't care if we made a mistake. I mean, how people fumble, right? It's not a big deal. So my CEO once told, yeah. So that's what I remember once my CEO came to me, Apurva, and I'd made this very well-produced movie review. So she came to me and she said, "Arey, wow, tum filmon ko yahan pe bhi le aaye ho. Very nice." So I said, "Thank you, ma'am." She goes, "No, it's not cool." She said, "Don't make it so perfect. Don't make it so sanitized. Let mistakes happen. Keep it real." She says, "If I had to hear that, then I'll listen to a produced thing, not a radio show." So that's when I realized that, you know, people wanted to. The biggest change was like, see, film actors were superstars. Nobody got a chance. This is before social media. They didn't have a chance to interact with them. Television actors were in their home every day. So, you know, they had a connection with them. But from Aap, so my progression was Salil ji to Aap to, hey, Salil bhai, kya chal raha hai? When they reached with Tu and all, I suddenly realized, ye mere ho gaya. That's what radio did.
Yeah. That you became part of their lives.
Yeah. Which is tough to do, very tough to do. Yeah.
It is tough, but I mean, the joy of it, you know, what you get out of it is just the satisfaction must be fantastic.
In Kurla, there's a hair cutting salon. Okay, so it's called Nip and Cut. He loves us so much. He put my photograph out there and Archana's photograph in Kurla. It's a huge salon. And he comes and he says, every time I change my hairstyle or my hair color, he'll provide Salil Bhaiya ka cut. It was so sweet. He came from Kurla and he said, Salil bhai, aap ribbon kaatne aaoge, mere paas koi paisa nahi hai. Maine kaha, are you mad or what? So when I went over there, he gathered some 500 people. And I said, Are ye kya hai? And you know, I went in there and I realized the first connection that we had there, and he was so happy that he never thought we'd come. So he got this little Monginis cake for me and he said, मैं बड़ा वाला ला नहीं सकता, मैं ये छोटा ले आया आपके लिए. I said, चल अभी तेरी दुकान पे चलते हैं. And we cut the ribbon. So we've had those kind of connections which I don't think anybody can have unless you are doing radio. Yeah.
How sweet. That's excellent.
Yeah.
So tell me a little bit about your work outside of radio.
You know, it's there was one of the people actually who told me when I started the morning show, Mantra told me, भाई आपके जो डोले शोले ना सब चले जाएंगे, you'll get dark circles and it'll all go. And I said, but why? He said, क्योंकि नहीं हो सकता, कोई उठ नहीं सकता सुबह और ये नहीं कर सकता. The first thing I did when I started radio was I used to wake up at 4 o'clock and I used to work out. Because I wanted to prove this entire cliche wrong, that when you're doing the morning show and the breakfast show, because people were just drained out, they couldn't do anything else. So once that workout started, my day would start at 4 o'clock. I would leave the studio at 12 o'clock. And then I just started continuing. I was so alive with energy. I said, chalo, for voiceover bhi, before you shooting happened. I did, so you won't believe this, I did 3 a.m. and Ashiki 2 in the middle of my radio show. 3 a.m. was a complete film. I used to do 6 to 6 shooting in the night. 6:30, have a bath and come straight to work at 7 o'clock for 37 days straight. It was a proper Bollywood film that we shot. So I remember it was a lot of people that said, radio jockeys, and I remember speaking to Malishka about this. I was really upset for a long time. Radio jockeys were always treated because they don't look good, that's why they're in radio. So City tried to break that when they got me into radio, and they said, we'll give you hoardings. They put hoardings on my face everywhere. 2009. And I said, but why is this? It was always, radio was always considered, kuch nahi hai, to we'll do radio. And because of people like Malishka and a couple of others, they actually helped get respectability to radio because they got money into radio. In 2009, when I came back, you won't believe it, my discussions with Rachna at that time, who's now the CEO, was, y'all can't afford me. She said no. So Sameep Nanda was the one who got me back. Sameep said, brother, I can't do this anymore. So he called me, he said, yaar, you're perfect for this. Why do you come? I said, Sameep, they won't be able to pay. He said, trust me, they are paying now. I said, okay, let me see. They got that respectability back into radio, where suddenly people started saying, oh, you can get paid well in this. They're good positions. And then they said, you can do whatever else you want. Earlier, radio jockeys were not very sparingly allowed to work outside. So I continued in my films and now the podcast and all that. And people were really happy about that. They said, okay, if he can do it, why not us? So then I remember with Student of the Year and all, I started hosting for all the film launches. That was the first time that they got me in. And I did it for many years with Dharma and all that. And then slowly, we had other jocks that started to come in there. And it really opened up the market for us because we were VJs as well. So Mantra was a VJ with Channel V at that time. He'd left radio. I was still doing V4U and this. So we started doing that, So I didn't leave any work. I still continued to do this. And it really helped us because when IPL also started, I missed out the first few years. But what people don't know is I hosted IPL for 3 years, not the actual show because they had 10-year contracts, but the pre-IPL for one month. So that was live TV. So we had the opportunity for that as well. So live radio changed everything for us. It really changed everything for us.
But was it difficult balancing so many things? I mean, a feature film career versus a voiceover career versus an RJ career versus a VJ career.
The thing is, I didn't look at it like that and it didn't matter to me. I know a lot of people actually held that against me, saying that because you didn't concentrate on acting, you never became as big an actor as you could have. I had a lot of offers that came and I didn't do that. But I don't know, I really just enjoyed doing whatever I felt like. I couldn't, my biggest issue was staying in a place, and you know this about me, 12 hours in one studio or in one place, I just can't do. So that's why I could never pick up a lead of a TV show. Even when I did dubbing for you, I don't know what to do. I feel very suffocated. So I always needed to do 3 hours here, 3 hours here, 3 hours here. It was a different world. And as a result of that, it kept me, but it did provide me, this is what I tell everybody also, I didn't need to answer to anyone. So I could say no to the films I wanted. I could say no to the television serials I wanted. I didn't need anybody. Even today, when I started my podcast, I remember Spotify asking me, so mine was the first podcast started by Spotify. They said, how are you going to get artists? I said, I don't know, we'll see. And eventually it just started. Now I've got Nas Daily coming on the show. I've got Shashi Tharoor coming on the show.
Wow.
It became so simple. Shruti Hassan. It was me sending you a message and you said, yeah, let's do this. I suddenly realized that the problem is, you know what I do? I message Dwayne the Rock Johnson every day. When can I have you on my... I just message him. There's no problem. There's a verified handle. I send him a DM every day. One day, that's how Nas Daily replied back to me. So I realized that the problem with people is
I think I saw one of your tweets. I
tweet to everybody.
On my show karke.
Yeah,
I tweeted. I can't remember.
Of course. Chetan Bhagat right now I message. So the problem is that people always think, will we be able to do this? I did the work wise, but obviously the family balance that goes. Yeah, you can't do. So I don't believe anybody who says that they are successful work people and have a successful family life. You can't do both. There's no chance.
That balance is really tough. I know. I
Yeah,
feel
yeah. You know it better than I do. Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's not like you can pick it up like so 20 years later after working 24 hours a day. If somebody tells me, okay, now give all this up and go there, how? I don't know how to just do this and be
Now,
like,
if these 6 months have also taught you that, right?
it's very
That you're
difficult.
not able
Very
to switch
difficult.
off from work and just enjoy the
No.
family.
I don't know what to do. I mean, I feel a little inadequate.
Even though you have a growing family and a lot more entertainment right now
Yeah, yeah,
with the babies.
Very difficult.
But
yeah. It's very
Yeah.
difficult. Very difficult. Yeah.
so tell me, when you started dubbing with us, and it was really funny how we found out our familial connection once we started dubbing with. Just, I think, by the way, I don't know, how did we stumble across it?
Leela auntie one day said, I think she mentioned Sanjay, and I asked, I said, which Sanjay is this? And that's how Sanjay Ganguly came, who happened to be, I said, oh my God, I said, how many Sanjay Gangulys are there? And that's how it happened. And I suddenly said, hey, that's my father. And your mother just went, there was a moment of silence. You are his son? I said, yeah. I said, I'm his real son. So that's how we found out in the studio that this is, yeah.
Horribly small world.
Hilarious.
That was
But
hilarious.
it was always going to be, after that actually, you know, I think I have to say this also. A lot of people that come to y'all, dubbing is very difficult. Very difficult.
This is what I wanted to hear from you about your
Very
experience. Yeah.
You know, so with me, to be honest, I still don't know. I was able to do the faster characters very well, which is what you saw. You know, so the black characters I could do faster. I knew I had a good voice, but having good voice and being a good dubbing artist is very different. Very different.
Yeah.
And I don't think I've ever taken very long in doing a film with you all, but it's almost like because you have a great team, so you know they're able to piece it together very well.
Yeah.
So it's like I'm not a trained singer, but I can catch a note. So they piece the notes together and I have a great song. So that's exactly what I end up sort of doing things. You know, so
Right.
a lot of people need to understand that there are a lot of dubbing artists that are really great that catch the moment. But I've seen dubbing artists who have a great voice but are very bad dubbing artists. You know, it's like I have some friends of mine who have fantastic voices, but they just can't match a beat of the tone of the facial expression. You know, it's not about that. So this is a very big common misconception that you can dub. No, you can't. You have to learn. You can't just dub.
People have actually told me things like, "Oh, it's not rocket science," and things like that, and they think "बोलना ही तो है, कौन सी बड़ी बात है?" You know, it's not a big deal. Is this really a profession? Is this really a career? This is what I used to get back in the day.
But even today, every voiceover artist or radio jockey thinks they can dub. No, you can't. There's a huge difference. So when you do voiceovers also, sync sound is also different.
There are actors who cannot dub. There are
Yeah.
actors who cannot dub for anyone, even for themselves. They find it difficult. They find it difficult to reproduce dialogue.
Yeah. But
You
I
put
remember
them
Ashutosh.
in the ideal situation, you with the correct costume and the correct surroundings and the correct co-star and everything, they are able to perform beautifully. Okay, because you're creating that whole atmosphere for them. But
I'll
when
tell
you're
you
dubbing,
something.
you're creating that atmosphere in your mind entirely.
You know, Aditya Roy Kapoor could not do the dub for Ashiki 2. Okay, I'm telling you an inside story. So I was, I just had 2 scenes, so I just finished in one day. So Mohit actually made him drink. He said he's not getting the feel. And his whole his language is a little different, right? The Hindi wasn't coming. And Mohit made him absolutely like, you have to be drunk to be able to do that drunken scene because you can't replicate it. So he actually was drunk in the dubbing studio to replicate his drunken scene on TV, on the big screen. And I said, yeah, what are you doing? The fellow can't walk. He said, but he's not walking on screen. So it's fine. This is what he did.
Yeah, you know, people who use glycerin to cry while dubbing. Because I remember once I was dubbing, I can't remember whether it was I was dubbing for Raz or one of these films, and Vikram Bhatt told me, why don't you use some glycerin? And I just cracked up. I was like, really? Are you serious? He's like, yeah, everybody uses glycerin. I'm like, are you crazy? I can do it without.
Who's the best dubbing artist you've seen? Like, you know,
Oh.
you really shocked. Too many,
Just
huh?
tons of them.
But
I
in your
would say-
initial days when you suddenly said, you were really shocked.
Best voice actor, I would say.
Yeah.
Like Ninad takes to characters very fast, very
Yeah.
easily. Like he can just catch the tone of a character instantly. So anybody who's very good at observing, you know, who's very perceptive, anyone who's very good at mimicking or very good at understanding a performance, you know, is very quick to pick up. And especially people who have a very heightened level of observation are very quick to pick up, because you know there's so many things, right? There's body
Yeah.
language, there's pitch, there's tone, there's style, there's mood, there's ambience, there's pace. So you know you have to bring together so many things which are not your own. It's almost like an out of body experience. You're filling in for someone else's body and your voice.
But one of the most fun dubs for you all was Resident Evil. I hardly had any dialogues, they didn't have to do much. So a lot of actually films, Hollywood films, especially the video game kinds and the Chinese films that I used to do for you, there's not much of a dub required. In fact, I was
Reactions.
I would have
Fight
spent
scenes and
more
reactions.
things by fighting. I have done so many fight sequences. It's hilarious, especially Black Panther. You know, I felt so strange. You know, when sadly he left. I mean, he's no longer. I mean, we've seen so much of Black Panther that I almost felt like, you know, I knew him as a character. Yeah. It felt really
All these
bad.
Actors, you know, we see their scenes over and over again. Sometimes we're seeing outtakes. We're seeing, you know, an off line that they said to someone else. You feel like I know this guy. You know, it's
him especially because I could see the genuineness of the person, and I can't believe that he kept that cancer inside of him for all these years. And I can't believe how, as a society, we become all he was just ridiculed for his weight loss. And one day, even I thought something was wrong with him. You know, I said, what's happened to him, man?
We are so visually charged that we are always, I think, instantly commenting on when we see somebody. You walk into a room, people will either tell you, oh, you're looking very tired today, or oh, you're looking so beautiful today, or oh, you've lost weight, or oh, you've become thin. Everything is about how you're looking. There's so much pressure. You know, those comments that come at you, and I'm like, why does everybody just compulsorily have to comment on how you look? You know?
Because they don't know what to say after WhatsApp. After, hey, what's up? What are you going to say? Oh, you're looking not so good. Got dark circles.
Mohit is laughing in the background.
But it's true, they don't know what to say. Vocabulary is so limited with so many people. I've realized it. You know, when people tell me that, you know, we love your podcast, I said, you love conversations because you don't hear them anymore. You have a question and answer. What do you think? And I don't need to know what you think, man. You can come slowly with what you think.
Twitter message about our podcast.
What did they say?
It said this is one of the most eye-opening or natural or real or something like that. I think it must have been somebody who's not really exposed to our world. And we found that the most.
No, but real, that word real, I promise you, everyone is trying to be someone today. You know, and there's the reason why the Joe Rogan Experience is the most popular podcast in the world is because he was like this. When he had Elon Musk on his show, Elon Musk said, I feel like smoking. You know how it became so viral? He said, I feel like smoking. And he said, what? He said, I feel like smoking weed. Tesla's stock dropped 10% in the middle of that podcast. Because he was smoking weed. Yeah, you read the story online. Because they thought he lost his brain. And the Tesla board said, we want to remove this guy. He's talking rubbish. He's saying my company is too overvalued. I want to throw away all my belongings. This is what he was talking in the podcast. And the stock plummeted. But this is what people want today. And then eventually, as we know now, Tesla's back up there because he delivered. But Joe Rogan actually was the first person who started to get these real experiences that you can do. Ab podcast mein everyone's trying it.
Yeah, I think it's really fun what you're doing in terms of, getting that little slice of life from people from different walks of life. So I think you're doing a really great job with that podcast, and congratulations. You've been in the top 10 quite a few times in a row.
So that also was another big issue. Where I thought, if I don't get these big stars and big celebs, not the A-list Bollywood stars, how will people listen to an interview show? Because in India, people don't listen to it. If you don't have the top politician or a top Bollywood star,
it's only available in India.
No, so what's happened is they have India stream and then they have a select stream that goes abroad. So what happens is in that select streaming bit, they have the trending podcasts that go out there. They have bits and pieces. But when you have in India itself also a very large listening audience, huge listening audience. This is the first time that they've started to listen to what they assume celebrity artists. If it's this one will never have Shah Rukh Khan and Salman Khan, and that's my whole idea. I don't want to have that, and just to have that was such a big risk, because I was running the risk of not getting an extension for so long. So I think that part Spotify really supported me. I said it's about my connection with the people. My connection. Even though I've done a lot of shows with Salman, I don't have a direct connection with him. He's a superstar, man. I'm just somebody who does work with him. So that connection would never come. And I think they agreed to that. That's what I was very happy about.
Yeah, that's great. I mean, and you have a second season coming up, right?
It's already started, and that continues now for 7 months more. It's going to be really fun. I've actually got a very interesting, I remember Shruti Hassan is going to be on my podcast very soon. Do you know we've spoken about drugs, crazy music, gothic styles, her living in the shadow of Bollywood and acting, and she says, I don't care about it. She says, you North Indians, we started in a very hostile way. She says, you North Indians have judged us always. She says, I was a boy, nobody liked me, I went to bars and nobody used to buy drinks for me. I said, have you seen the way you look? She goes, nobody saw it for so long. She said, I don't care about people, that's why. She said, they just saw me as a product of Kamal Hassan's daughter. She said, my sister wanted to act and she did one bad film and they just threw her out, man. So she said, forget about it, I don't want to do it. So I've had different people talk about such different experiences. Neha Bhasin talked about how she said the biggest problem in this world of Instagram and social media is the word cleavage. She said men in this country cannot get over it. And she said that's why so much trolling happens. Sonakshi left Twitter because of the kind of trolling that she got. So I've had such very different experiences with them. It was not about how many Filmfare awards they won and how many national awards. I really wanted to bring that out across. I think people are connecting with that.
Yeah, that's really nice what you're doing. Tell me some of the memorable roles you've played while dubbing. I can remember Jafar in Aladdin.
Yeah, Aladdin. No, I think for me also. No,
and, I think we think that there are certain characters that just remind us of you. And you'll see that it's not every day that we call you for a role, but when we see you in that role is when we really call you, and when we know we can use you to your potential, because I know you're doing so many things that I don't want to call you for the bits and pieces. Even though I have in the past, I don't want to do it. I don't want to make it a habit.
No, but
we all go
Avatar.
through our growing pains.
But Avatar was my most incredible experience. I couldn't believe what we were watching, and because obviously at that point, we didn't have the film in front of us. You had 3D images, and I was just in awe. And I remember y'all were also, everyone was, and I just didn't understand what this film was.
Created, that was quite a creation for us.
Unreal. And then after I did the film, I still hadn't seen the film, obviously, right? When I saw it on the big screen, I said, oh my God, what is this? So that for me was incredible. And also G.I. Joe, one of the first films I did for you, it was really difficult for me because that black character that I played, I forget his name, Michael, he was so tough to catch because he spoke so fast. And I remember That's the only time I think that was one of the times when I thought that I don't think I can do this. He's really fast, and a lot of characters will come to me that I guess they will want me to do these kind of characters. So that's also interesting. And of course, I can never forget Redcliffe. Redcliffe was the first film we did. It was in English. So I remember when he called me and said, "Why are we doing it in English?" I said, "But we're Indians who are doing this in English." And that was the most. So even when now also it comes on Sony, I really like it. So for me, it's been like great fun, and I've never let go of
And then you
any
did,
of these
I
characters.
forget the name of the character in Black Panther that you did. His
The villain.
stepbrother.
No, Black Panther was what is his name? I forget his name. The villain. He was
He
you
was
made
his
me the villain.
stepbrother. He was his stepbrother.
Yeah, I forget his name, but even Mission Impossible was fun.
Yeah.
My son is screaming. Yeah.
Oh.
Actually, let me bring him in.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah. Yes, my love.
Hi,
Come and say
Ray.
hi. Come say hi to Monadi.
Now we're gonna get some serious hits on this show. Eric Killmonger. That's
Michael
right.
Jordan.
Thank you.
Yeah, Michael Jordan. Thank you. Okay, yeah. That's
How are you?
Mama. That's Mona. Hi.
Hi, Shweta. How are
You
you?
promised him a drive and he's screaming. And I
Yeah.
can't handle him anymore.
No, that's fine. We're nearly done anyway. I mean, it's almost time
Okay, baby.
to go.
Yeah.
So is Ray gonna follow in your footsteps? Do you see any signs?
No.
No.
I see him breaking things. I think he's gonna
Yeah.
break things. Ray,
Yeah.
he has
Maybe
this
that's a
incredible.
sign that he's gonna break some records someday.
I don't think so.
Everything is a sign.
Yeah, but he's incredibly shy. He gets in front of the camera. I don't know why, which is very unlike my daughter and my wife and me. Ray, come in front, darling. He's not gonna come.
So
But
he's
I
gonna
think
he's gonna be the business manager for the three of you.
I don't think so. I think by the time he becomes business manager, if I'm still working, I'm really going to be in debt. So I'm hoping by then I'm not working. I know. Hang on. I'm getting. Yeah. Let me just hang on. Come back in 2 minutes. We'll be done.
So what did you say?
Yeah. He's saying andhera ho jayega. Andhera.
Oh yes.
I'm getting
yes.
late. He's saying.
Oh.
Okay, come and tell Monadi this. Okay.
Don't get me, Papa, get home.
Come here. Come here. Okay. Come and say. Come and say.
You're getting late.
You're getting late. I'm so sorry, baby. I'm so sorry. Do you need to go down now?
You're getting late.
You're getting late
Baby,
to go out and
oh,
play?
he can't hear you because of my earphones.
Oh.
So he's wait, let me remove my earphone. Hang on. Now we can hear.
Can you hear me now?
Yeah.
Yeah. Are you getting late to go down and play? Yes. I'm getting late too. My kids have already been packed off.
We have to go see Monadi very soon. You know, when Papa goes for work, sometimes Papa goes to Monadi's studio. Okay? Like how you come and sometimes speak in front of a mic.
She's a Masi.
Yeah. And Monadi's family. You know, Monadi's
Pishi.
family.
I'm Pishi.
Pishi. What is Monadi? Pishi.
Pishi, yes. Yes. So sweet. Well, you know, IG Live cuts us off in 1 hour, so it's almost time to wrap up. But you know, what would you like to? What is the status of radio stations today, and what do aspirants make of it? I don't hear you, Salil. I don't hear you yet. You're not connected
Yeah.
yet.
Sorry. Now can you hear me? Now?
Yeah.
I think the lockdown has had a very troubling effect on and the entire you know, a lot of the economy will bounce back. Radios are going to have a tough time. It's going to be a tough time. So I tell a lot of people right now, a lot of people who think that they want to come on to a radio station and be part of a radio station, hold on a bit. You know, they're not going to be hiring for a long time right now. Radio is a very
running currently. Our radio station
So you-
running currently.
Yeah, absolutely. We've been going to work, but 1 or 2 have actually shut down. Some of them had massive pay cuts, and I mean huge pay cuts. So 2021 is going to be the year of make or break. if the government doesn't come in and help out radio stations, I don't see a lot of radio stations being able to survive. Big radio stations like Sun TV, who have Magic and Red FM, Magic is almost shut down. So, I mean, you wouldn't believe that the financial impact has been so large, which is, well, sad. So, radio as a medium will be great, but if you're thinking there'll be great hirings at radio stations right now for a lot of aspirants, no, that's not going to happen for a while.
So, people shouldn't be looking at RJing as a career right now. Those starting.
I would suggest you wait till April, not before April. And any place, right now is not really hiring. So you've just literally got to like hone your skills in April, May. A lot of people
I was coming to that. So meanwhile, what should they do to hone their skills?
So podcasting is great, So I was reading an article the other day in Money Control, which basically talked about how 9 out of 10 Indians were so active on their phones during the lockdown. And in that active zone, they realized that just watching cinema or series is not what they want to do. They wanted to be involved. So the maximum number of YouTube channels have started, podcasting has started. See, it's free right now. So while it's free, I suggest you all do it. And there's it's like golf. There is no perfect way of doing it. So you go out there, you can be as good or bad as you want.
Create your own style and your own content.
Yeah. So once that podcast happens, you never know what will work for you. And once you've done a podcast for a year, by the time you reach a radio station, you're a finished product almost, because you've been scripting, you've been speaking, you've been having interactions with the people. So when you go out there, if I'm looking to hire right now, I don't want freshers. I want someone who's at least tried something, so they know what they're not good at. Because I don't want to just be a little white blackboard for a person to say, come try ABC. We're going to teach you the words. You need to know the letters beforehand. That's what's going to happen in, I think, 2021 now. Because the hiring is going to come down. The multiplication of work by one individual is going to increase.
And what do you want to be known as, Salil? What do you see yourself really, the core performer inside you? Are you an RJ at heart? An actor? A voice actor?
I'm a performer. I'm a performer. That's all I've done. And I perform morning to night. I've just done that. I've never cared about how many million followers there are, how many this is there. I just get a high every time I put on a button of anything that I work on. That's all I want to be remembered by.
That's excellent. Amen to that. I think that's a great attitude, which is why you're doing such a lot and you're doing such interesting things. Please keep at it. Please keep entertaining us and entertaining me, and bring Ray to see me soon.
I know.
Tia, right?
Yes, but I have to be careful. Ray might break a few things. So when he decides not to break things, then we shall bring him to your very expensive studios.
No, that's okay. I'm dying to see him.
I'll bring him.
Anyway, we'll sign off now. And,
okay, Monadi. Thank you.
I look forward to seeing you soon, Salil.
I will. Bye-bye. See you.
Take care. Bye.